Start recording. All right. We are technically live, I guess. Welcome to the Rocket Ledger podcast. This is episode 66. I want to say this real quick. Last episode, I said it was episode 66, and then afterwards, I found out it was actually 65. So my apologies on that. This is the real 66.
You're lying to people.
And I messed up. I looked at it, I was like, okay, where is the 65? And then there was no 65. And then it was like there was a 64. And I'm looking, like, it said that online as well as what, like, the external hard drive where I dumped some of these. And I was just looking like, so I just told the people that was 66, and this is the real 66. So I'm gonna try to be more potent on that, I guess. Be more efficient. My bad. Welcome to episode 66. I am your host, Supreme King. Join with me as always is my co-host, and his name is...
It's your guy who amazes.
How's everything today? How are you doing?
Man, it's crazy. So, yes, from what we're recording yesterday. So, Friday,
Okay.
like, had me confused about what year it was. Because, like, the new Saw movie dropped. Well, the new Saw movie dropped.
Okay.
NSYNC released a new song. A new season of Power Rangers came out. And Usher got announced to be performing the Super Bowl. Like,
oh yeah.
It feels like early 2000s.
Yeah, I think there's some wellness checks also issued for Britney Spears, if I'm not mistaken.
Did you see why?
Because she was playing with knives and stuff and running with scissors or something. I don't know. But
she was dancing with knives, and the dogs were all around her feet. Everybody's like, yo, get those dogs. Like, she's going to hurt one of them.
Yeah.
And the immediate next video she posted, she had a bandage on her arm and like a cut on her leg.
Oh my gosh.
She's still doing her dances. But then she posted another video with the knives. It was like, guys, these are prop knives that her team went and got. And everybody's like, nah, cuz those is kitchen knives. Like, those aren't prop knives.
I don't know. Strange stuff, but all right, let's get back to game. Let's get back to gaming a little bit. I want to address one other thing real quick. I say this all the time, but I really mean it. I am making a actual return. I did try to record some stuff. There was a video that's going to be the first topic here that I actually attempted to record, and then my computer just kind of like stopped recording because it said that I ran out of space on the computer, which was annoying, and it was actually true. And I went and deleted a bunch of stuff. It was a lot of B-roll footage from last podcast that was still on the computer that I thought I deleted and didn't. Which, FYI, the podcast footage that gets shown. So right now it's Remnant from the Ashes 2 or Remnant 2. Like, the collection of footage sometimes is almost 100 gigs. I don't think people know that. And so once it's recorded, the podcast itself, that's an additional 15 gigs. And then I delete everything and upload what I need to upload. But apparently I didn't. And all of that stuff was still on the computer. And I'm sitting over here like, yeah, let's talk about Jim Ryan. And it was just like, nope. Cut it right back off. I would have had a video for y'all. I'm so serious. I would have had one. And I do plan on having some topics going forward. Some stuff will be coming back. I got my lighting correct. I think I talked about it last time. Like, the lighting was trash. It don't look like I'm in the dark anymore, so that's good. And yeah, we're gonna come back. The first topic, I think, is like one of the most important topics to talk about. It's something that's been talked about a lot right now in a lot of people's channels. This is all about Jim Ryan, and it's gonna actually go right into a bunch of like PlayStation stuff anyway. But I'm gonna be honest. I think he was fired. Now, we could probably debate on it. We could probably go over the details on it. I don't know which way my co-host is gonna go over because we didn't really talk about it too much beforehand. But I firmly believe he was fired. And I kind of have, not evidence, but I have some reasoning why I would come to that conclusion that we're just going to break down little by little. But first, I just want to know from my co-host, just flat out, do you think it's a real retirement or do you think he was fired?
I don't think it's a fire. I think it was one of those we strongly suggest you retire
Yeah.
situations, like one of those. Uh, I don't think it was just like I'm done with this, and like out of the blue, unless all the Call of Duty argument really took it out of him.
Yeah, like I know probably the fanboy stance on it would be like, yeah, he lost because Xbox got Call of Duty, which is funny because I guess we can mention it real quick because it's not really a topic, but apparently the Activision deal is going to be ongoing again because the FTC is like, no, we have another way we can go at it, and so it's projected to go a little bit longer instead of closing in October. So that's a thing. But beforehand, we know like one of Jim Ryan's like nicknames was Jim Lion Crying Ryan or Jim Crying Ryan. The crying part was from the Activision deal because he had this moment where for a long time he was running around catching planes and stuff trying to meet people and talk to them and all this other stuff to stop the deal, and he really wasn't successful. Even now it's more of the FTC trying to stop it for their own reasons. It don't even got nothing to do with PlayStation at this point. I don't even know. It's more of a power trip of them versus Microsoft. But that was his thing. I think he was fired because the first thing I can probably go with was the biggest probably. His nickname was Jim Lion Ryan, right? I can imagine that really caught on for a long time, but it started with this generation. And I really think that it took a toll overall when we started seeing a lot of other little things that we're going to get into. But in general, I can only imagine PlayStation does not want to have their name being associated with like you lying to your own customer. You know what I'm saying? I can imagine. I don't think anybody would want that. And quite literally, that was his like nickname, and that's what people was like thinking. Like, okay, you still love PlayStation to an extent because you had like this Nintendo amount of time with it, basically through all these generations, every system so far, and you're sticking with it because of that. And so it was to an extent where we can all agree that we would turn our eye, like turn the other cheek, I guess is the term. We turn your other cheek to a couple of these decisions that Jim Ryan was having because long-term wise, you still have an attachment to PlayStation. But short-term wise, I'm pretty sure all of us was like, raising the eyebrow at some of these other things that he was doing, What do you think about that? Like, do you think that was probably also a part of it? Like the idea of the brand being associated with lying to the customer in general?
Yes, I think part of the strongly suggest he steps down is one, yeah, you don't need the brand being associated with that, right? That's not good. To have that be a part of it. I think the constant jokes and everybody saying like, dude, why are you going this crazy over like Call of Duty? Like, doesn't look good. Like the press just around it doesn't seem great, right? Like it seems like he's like, I don't know, you start to get the idea, and we've mentioned before, where it's just like, who cares about our exclusives? We need that game. That's the game.
That also looks bad.
That looks so bad on the company because it's like, okay, well, if the whole reason to get a PlayStation was the exclusives, and then you're saying who cares about the exclusive, then and that's coming from the person in charge or whose name is associated with the company, you don't really want that. You want someone who's like, it'd be great if we have Call of Duty, but it's fine because we got God of War. Like, like something like that's what you want to hear.
Yeah.
You don't want, it's
now with the Call of Duty deal, it was so Microsoft had extended a 10-year agreement, right? That initially Nintendo agreed to and PlayStation reject. Like, so when PlayStation rejected it, it was really Jim Ryan saying that it was inadequate, is what his term was. He was like, this is inadequate, right? And then afterwards, like Xbox and Microsoft won a court case against the FTC. And that's when everybody was thinking this was getting ready to be closed. It just wasn't complete yet. And then we already just mentioned now they're trying to do a whole nother court case, right? But because of that, PlayStation actually did agree to a 10-year deal, but the difference was it was Call of Duty only. And it basically meant all of the other games going forward would not hit PlayStation. Which, when we found that out, we was just like, well, why did you agree to that? Like, what just happened here? And he was so bent on just Call of Duty and ignored Tony Hawk series. He ignored the Crash. He ignored Spyro. He ignored all the other franchises, basically. It was just Call of Duty. Yep. And basically it was like, okay, so they did the deal, even though the Activision deal itself is still not even done. They did that, and then it's just like, now it's just for Call of Duty releases for 10 years, and it's like nothing else. And I think to an extent, like possibly somebody somewhere was looking at that like, why would you agree to that? That's what I'm probably thinking, to an extent. Because it really came down to literally that one game. And I think also, if I remember correctly, when the Activision deal first got mentioned, the very next day, PlayStation stock had dropped by a huge percentage. I think they had lost like $20 billion or something overnight and had to slowly build it up. And they built it back up a little bit. But I think that hurts the revenue a lot. That probably, if it had anything to do with something like that, that probably was added to it from PlayStation side because they care about the money the most, you know? I think that might have had something to do with it. I think the issue with Horizon Forbidden West, I think that might have had something to do with it too. So if you remember correctly, that was supposed to be a game that at one point it was a confusion with the audience, right? It was like, is this going to have a free upgrade or a $10 upgrade, right? And then he was like, well, okay, I'll give this one for free, but it's going to be the last one. And I think that added to the behavior of like the brand basically looking bad in a way. Because didn't nobody like the upgrades as much as they say like they don't care about it. It's just $10. I'm pretty sure a lot of people was like, I should just be able to put my game in the system. Because that's how I felt. I didn't do that many upgrades, but I did do, I think, the Death Stranded one. Because there was like a lot more content. And I didn't do the Ghost of Tsushima one, but that was like one of the other ones that I kind of want to do. But I think you got that. I might just borrow it from you once you're done with it. And then we finessed Horizon. I don't know if we ever like admitted that on here, but basically the part that I think when he said it was the last time, you know what I'm saying? That tells the audience, well, you're gonna nickel and dime everybody going forward for the rest, you know. Where I think one of the big ones that's still out there, I think a lot of people want Bloodborne to be remastered. And I think they're on board with rebuying the game because they want the 60 FPS, but really they should just patch the 60 FPS, you know, for the game. The $10 upgrades was a bigger deal for me. I think the messaging behind it is what PlayStation was probably looking at. But the big one is PC. Now, I actually do think PlayStation wanted to put their games on PC. But I think they didn't want to do it the way that he was doing it. The way he did it, this probably is what gave him the Jim Lion Ryan name as much as he... that gave him the name the most because you were told at one point that you need the PS5. Like if we rewind back to like 2020, November 2020, or even the presentations before it, like the first revealing of the system and stuff, they showed a few games here. They was just like the SSD this, the SSD that, like it was just, this thing was so powerful and you need the PS5 in order to run these games. And then some of these games that they was talking about, I think one of them for sure was Godfall. It was just like, well, now Godfall, like at like one of these E3s or something, they just announced like, oh, this thing is gonna go on the PS4 like later. And it was just like certain games, Spider-Man Miles Morales, I think that was another one where it was presented as a PS5 game, and then like literally the last minute they was just like, okay, here's a PS4 version. Yep. And it was just like certain things like that where the reputation was really starting to look bad. I don't know if you have anything you want to say about just that part.
Well, it's annoying because like for a good like beginning, and some people can argue still till now, it was like, well, why should I buy a PS5? Right? Like everything was on PS4, or it's gonna be going to PC. It was just weird that they kept doing that, and also, was it just overall the fact that I lost my train of thought. That like, I don't know. I felt like because they kept putting things back on like the PS4, like that games just weren't optimized the way they could have been for PS5 because they had to make the PS4 version as well. Like it was like, okay, then why should I get this PS5?
I think a few other things that probably can add up to this, like even with the games that were going on PC, there was the debacle of The Last of Us Part 1, how it was launched, how like the actual physical version of it looked like people stepped on it and kicked it down the street basically. It was like that was hurting the brand's name a little bit when people were seeing all of those like photos and stuff of like Joel, and it was just like this black tar or something on his face because it didn't digitally like load him correctly. Like I just think it was more of like the representation of like the brand just being tarnished little by little with stuff like that. By the time God of War 1 went to PC, I think the audience, like, they had the writing on the wall basically that everything was gonna go, because once you put that on there, like, well, that's everything. And I think at that point, like, that's when you started to get people to say, well, long term I might as well just have PC, because people came to that conclusion a little bit with the Xbox when they was doing day and date. And on the PlayStation side, it looked like that's kind of what they probably want to do, but then they want you to buy it, like they want you to buy the game twice basically. That's how it looked. It looked like they wanted you to
well, I was gonna say that also. Well, besides that, is they want you to like buy it for console and then also buy it for PC, so you get to play it with its optimized experience on console, and then you get to play it with all the mods on PC, and everybody plays it, and everybody's happy. Like, it didn't come off in a way where it said we can now pull in the PC crowd. It felt like, well, now the PlayStation crowd is just gonna go to PC. I don't know why. Like, you could tell they wanted it the one way, and it just came off the other way. But I think also the final straw for all of this was the whole raise of PS Plus price.
Yeah, I think like, so. That's on our side. I don't know how PlayStation probably wanted to raise the price. Like at the end of the day,
but like they probably did. But at the same time, that it was under Jim Ryan's rule. We're already mad at him. They've already been making bad decisions, and then it's like, we're gonna raise the price, and we're gonna tell you it so we can keep delivering quality on the same month when all 3 games we're giving you are rated D or less.
Yeah, so
like they were rated low, and then the following month, as much as like, hey, it's for like, before it just felt like, hey, free games, like, why are you complaining? But now that you're upping the price that everybody was comfortable with, to now still give bad game, like, it's still not top quality.
Yeah.
Games, so it's like, where's this this quality game that you were like speaking of when you say these are the free games we're given, when they're like a year old and like not A ranked, right? Like you're not giving Cult of the Lamb for free. You're
Yeah,
not giving top like A rated games for free. Like yes, we got Sea of Stars at the like start of the date, or like the day it released. If you had the higher tier PlayStation, but you didn't give that to the essential tier PlayStation
I don't
Plus
think
members. So
I I I firmly don't think that PlayStation wanted to do the tier system. I think they was probably comfortable with where it was. I think it like Jim Ryan was attempting to make their own Game Pass,
yep,
and it like there was no need to make a Game Pass, and it actually hurt them a little bit because
they should
they're
have just kept regular and now.
yeah, because when with PS Now, like the people who was on PS Now potentially, well, not potentially, like you quite literally had to pay double by default if you really just wanted PS Now, just to keep getting access to the old school stuff. Like they still had a small percentage of people there. Like I think it was like 2 or 3 million people who subscribed to just PS Now by itself. Um, but like when they did the tier system and they camouflaged it in with like the regular PS Plus, like basically anybody who was just paying for that, all of a sudden now it's 120 instead of 60, right? And then the actual quality of the PS Plus, at first it didn't go down, but then you started to see like the lowest tier, some of the games that they was using was like, what are we doing here? Callisto Protocol was a game that I did buy last month, so technically I'm out of the money, I guess. I'm not too upset about that because it was a dope cover and I did wanted to own it, but
But at the same time, again, it's a case where it's like for quality,
yeah,
Dead Space, not the one that
right,
everyone complained about, right? Like it's like you gave us Saints Row and then you gave us them, but it's like I'm not saying like free games are free games, and I feel like at the $60 price I wouldn't have mind.
yeah,
With these ones, it's the fact because it's games that I want to try, but it's you can't tell me, hey, we're raising the price on you in a week, like so you don't even have time to like
yeah,
do anything about it. We're raising the price on you to give you quality, and then give Saints Row, and then the following month give Callisto Protocol, where it's like no offense to them, but it's like these were games that were heavily complained
yeah.
about, like
Because it
I don't know,
looked
like you
like
just
there was all
feel
of a sudden games that were rated like not necessarily quality at all. I think
yeah,
Callisto was rated higher than Saints Row. Saints Row though
yeah.
was considered legitimately the worst game that had came out that year that was multi-plat.
Uh,
You know what I'm saying? Where Callisto was like, okay, it's not as good. They had some hiccups, and then Dead Space is just better by default. It came out the very next month, and so
yep.
that kind of just buried Callisto. But to your point, is like, well, you still raised the price to consistently now put out some of the worst games that came out back to back. It hurts your reasoning, like when you say like, okay, this is so we continue to keep bringing quality games, and then it's like, well, 2 months in a row it's not actually quality, right?
Yep.
Game Pass has day and date games, with PS Plus, I believe, like Stray was day and date. I know that one was, and then it was like a couple
Uh,
other games, but there wasn't the highest quality titles. It was like
oh, but it's also not on there anymore.
Stray.
Yeah, they removed it.
They took Stray back out. Okay,
They took straight back out.
yeah. Well, the thing is, like, if you go to Game Pass, like, yeah, the Xbox was not having that many first party titles like in 2022 for sure, and then like before that it was like very few, right? But the thing is,
Uh,
it's guaranteed to be there, right? It's guaranteed to be there because it's their titles, it's day and date. So when they roll something out like Starfield, or they roll something out like Forza next month or whatever, it's gonna be there. And you paid the regular price, where with PS Plus what we've seen was they raised the price, but there's still no day and date games. Like I think if the games were day and date, I don't think people would have had that much of an issue of the raising of the price, at least for the extra tier. And then is it called platinum or is it
Platinum
yeah,
or premium?
premium tier? It should have been called platinum. But yeah, so like when you look at the premium tier, it was like, well, here's a couple of the PS3 stuff and a couple of the PS2 stuff, but not a lot. And then it just looked like they stopped updating it. Like at least even with Nintendo, they still have some Game Boy Advance stuff that they at least drip feed every month. Where on premium, I haven't heard of too much really being put there that's like actually high quality from the past. You know,
it's still like they just put in all the Star Ocean games. That's so like those who were fans of the Star Ocean series, you get to check that out. But like
they raised the price $30 on that tier.
Yep, they raised the price $30 on that tier and then gave you all of the old Star Ocean games. But that was it.
Yeah. Now I think even with Game Pass did go up $2 on a monthly basis. I think PlayStation, it would have made more sense if each tier just went up $10 each. Like that would have made more sense because you could have at least said, like before they would say for the price of one $60 game you could get basically the lowest tier. They could have still said something like, well, for the price of a $70 game you could still get everything from the lowest tier, but it went from that to 80. And so it's like, well, it's not even the price, it's more than the price of an actual full game now. And then there's no day and date. And then like the highest tier is what they really want you to be on, but even at the highest tier, like you don't get a day and date game, or even at the very least, like you get to choose 1 or 2 games per year to be like downloaded digitally or something. Like there's no option for that. It's like, no, you still get what didn't really make sales, basically.
Yeah. Way after they're already done, and you could probably pick them up for like $1 or $2. Or maybe 10. Like you could pick these games, like all 3 games you could spend 30 to get, or you gotta spend like more money. Just like I don't know, it's just it's trash. Like I don't like, and again, I've discovered some gems on there. Like I got to try out Sea of Stars. I probably would have bought it, but like I got to dive directly into it. And I wouldn't have played Dodgeball Academia without it. I wouldn't have checked out Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom without it. So like I did get some good like quality stuff there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel worth the price. And like I don't know. I just feel like you keep hearing like this company made breaking profits. This company made profit. Like PlayStation's not hurting in profits, and then it's just like, yeah, we got to increase the price. We got to increase the price of video games, but we're gonna stop doing physical releases, and now we're gonna increase the price of it. And it's just like, why? Why? You don't need to increase the price. I have a whole issue with all of that.
Yeah, but I do think PlayStation probably wanted it to increase, but I don't know if they wanted it to be increased the way that Jim Ryan did it. And then at the same time, there's still a behavioral problem there where it's like, well, we're going to increase the price, and that increase is set to be for like 4 days or 5 days from now. I think it was how that happened, which literally gave nobody any time to like try to buy like an extra year or 2 or something. They like gave you no time whatsoever. And it's like, that's a Jim Ryan move, and it made sense because it lined up with some of his other stuff. But in the long run, it makes PlayStation look bad. That's the problem. And I think it was too many things that was making PlayStation look bad. You know, another one that I thought was ridiculous at the time, that it doesn't really get talked about too much anymore, but you remember the star system where you had to rank a certain level to get good quality like customer service in order to get like pushed ahead.
Oh, they were like, they introduced PlayStation Stars, which I don't know what it's for now, but I still get scores. But it's like, pretty much if you're at a higher score, the customer service will answer you first. And it's like, excuse me? Like, I wish I would call it. I'm like, oh, sorry, we have to end this call and put you on hold because someone with a rank 7 just called in. and I'm the only person on the clock or something like. I'll do what?
Yeah, it was pretty silly, but that also like that again makes it look bad. It was certain things that were just giving them a bad reputation where one generation prior they didn't really have that. You know what I mean? Um I do believe they wanted to raise the price on PS Plus, and I do believe that they wanted to have games on PC. I just don't think that they wanted it to go the way Jim Ryan did it. I think they probably, PlayStation should do day and date games on PC if they're gonna go to PC, because it looks bad when you give the PC player the complete edition and the PlayStation player doesn't get the complete edition, but they pay more for the base. You know what I'm saying? Like, those things add up long term, because now the person who's like the PlayStation player is going to look at this and see the writing on the wall and say, well, I might as well just play on PC, which takes certain revenue away from them, because now free to play games where you pay into stuff, you're not doing it on their platform. You're doing it on Steam, or you might do it on Epic, right? Which goes to another thing that we just found out, where Horizon Forbidden West will have a PC version, right? However, the one that they called it the complete edition. Their version is going to come with the DLC included, where anybody who bought Horizon Forbidden West on PlayStation 5, like, you still had to pay extra for that DLC that they just had.
Still, you have to pay extra while they already get it at cheaper.
Yeah, so they get the whole game. I guess that might also imply that there might not be any more Horizon DLC, I guess, but they get the complete version when it comes out. I think it's going to come out early next year for their platform, right? Yeah, when you see something like that, and I think Callisto is a good example of this too, because we kind of like crapped over Callisto early before everybody else, based on the pricing, because it didn't make sense why certain games was just cheaper on PC and not on console for us. Like, I guess, like, I'm used to it now, but I was questioning that a lot. And some of these PlayStation exclusives, when they hit PC, they're cheaper than what you paid on console. And it's like, I don't know if that's a Jim Ryan move to appeal to the PC side, but it's like at the same time, like, you're making your player, your hardcore fan base, look bad in a way. Like, you're kind of slapping them in the face a little way. And I'm pretty sure that's something that PlayStation doesn't want. Like, they don't want that type of representation. Like, they don't want that rep, basically, right? There was a story with Jim Ryan, I think this was like late 21 or early 22. But when he first started to like put games on PC, they used the word summon in the article I saw. But basically they said he was summoned to like either Japan or Hong Kong or something. It was just like, what? Like, but it was basically he had a meeting. He had to have a meeting with like the original like owners or creators of PlayStation and stuff, who I don't know the dude's name, but the dude who retired from the PlayStation 3 era, like when they first introduced that PS3 and it was $600, and like he retired mid gen, and then like I think Sean Layton or somebody took over, and that's when we got the $300 PS3 and everything. That guy summoned, quote unquote, Jim Ryan at one point to go over there to like, basically, I guess he wanted to know, what is you doing? Is basically what was going on. That was the meeting, I guess. And it's funny because the dude was like long gone, but he's like, yo, this is still my brand, basically, but what you doing, homie? So that was a thing a while back. That's funny to mention, but there was also, like, in mentioning the PS3, the PS3 and then I guess the Vita store going down, like the representation thing again is like, you gave them bad rep basically with the store. Then they kind of reversed it on that, but didn't do it for the PSP. I think maybe PlayStation still wanted to do that, but just they didn't want to have like bad press. But whenever I heard Jim Ryan's name, I'm gonna be honest, I've never heard anything good.
Nope.
Like, what was the good? He ever got anything that was like, good job, Jim Ryan? Like, I never heard anything.
Nothing I heard.
You know, like at least like with Phil Spencer, you would hear something good every now and then. Like they still crapped on him for Redfall, but like outside of that, it was like he still had good reps here and there. He was still also considered like a gamer himself. There was like commercials and stuff where Jim Ryan took where he wasn't holding the controller right. I think one of them commercials, I think they had the PlayStation upside down and stuff with him on the commercial. Like it was pretty obvious. Like, okay, he's a businessman. This has nothing to do with gaming. Like they brought him in, like he's been there this whole time, but he's only been in that role for a few years. And the dude is in his middle 50s, not like 65. Like he's retiring early, technically, right? And plus, if we find out he went and got a tech job somewhere, which he would get one instantly because he's still a high value name. I'm not gonna say he's terrible. He's a high value name in the tech world. His job was to make more money for the company, and he was doing it. It's just it was costing the company their representation. Or am I saying that right, bro? I keep saying reputation. Yeah, I'm like, every time I said it, I'm like, I know I'm saying it wrong. But yeah, the reputation was just, it was costing them the reputation because they would make the nickel and dime money in the short run, but in the long run, everybody's like, well, I could just go to PC. And that's what we kept hearing, basically. And that quite frankly looked like that with everything when we go down this timeline. Until we get to right now, which is kind of like the second part of this, PlayStation got hacked again. Basically.
Yep.
Which I don't think is going to be as detrimental to the name as last time, but it is basically.
Last time it was like one of the first times too, so it was just like this major, oh my goodness. Basically, got hacked, like, yo, we have access to pay us money. PlayStation's like, no. So they're like, here's our proof that we have some of these accounts. And PlayStation still said no. So now they're threatening to sell account information, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried. I don't have like a bunch of stuff linked together. I don't know how far it's going to go. Not much happened. Excuse me. Not much happened last time. So I don't think much is going to happen. I don't know.
I think I had updated my card last time because I was more afraid. I know a lot more now compared to before. I mean, that was a long time ago about financial literacy. But if anybody's got their card directly on PlayStation, you might want to remove it. But if you have one of the liaisons, like if you have PayPal or something, you're probably fine. But technically, you know, your information was hacked. At the same time, like none of these other companies like paid the ransom either. I remember one of them was Cyberpunk, or not Cyberpunk, but the creators of Cyberpunk and The Witcher, CD Projekt Red. They got their stuff hacked at one point. It actually, because of the hack, I remember it was delaying Cyberpunk's process of like fixing the game. And then Capcom was another one that had one of their hacks, and then a lot of their stuff leaked where everybody was finding out about some of their games that was coming out. But if anything, for the public, it ruins the surprise for some games, and then at the same time, you know, your information could be stolen. But the general public, I don't think you have to worry about it too much compared to last time. But that's a major thing though for PlayStation's like their brand, basically, because last time it really did hurt them. It hurt them a lot. I don't know if that would have counted towards Jim Ryan leaving, but
definitely could have.
it does kind of look bad though, because PlayStation, like the announcement that PlayStation was hacked and him retiring is like very close together. Yep. It almost looks like he's like let's say he wasn't fired and he's retiring. It still looks like he's like, you know what, this ain't my problem. That's kind of how it looks to me.
It does.
Because he's like, I'm not gonna take responsibility for this, and I'm not going to like basically fight whoever and do what he just left it. Like, y'all gonna have to deal with that, basically. And it like that looks bad too if he's really a tech person and he's all about making money, and it looks like they got hacked and they might get sued for big money like last time, and he's like, well, I might not make no more money. And then he's like, well, I'm retiring. That looks bad. That does look bad. I don't know if anybody came to that conclusion, but that looks bad. You know, that adds more towards his personality too, because he was considered a bad guy overall. Yeah, I don't know. I think the handling at the same time, the only other point was PlayStation Portable almost looks like it's dead on arrival. It's like the handling of that looked bad because.
Well, it's also something nobody wanted as well, because they said they wanted a Vita or like they wanted a new Vita or a new PSP, and they were like, "Here's you don't want to turn your phone into the streaming service, but here you can buy it all in one." Like, it was just we good.
Yeah, I do think it's going to make at least the sales that the PSVR 2 made, which was a couple million, but I don't know how far it's going to go past that. And that might be another thing. Maybe PlayStation is not happy with the numbers that they're getting from the VR 2. They might blame him for that. This last E3-ish show was kind of a disaster for them. You know, I don't know if they're blaming him for that, but it's just, for me, it's a lot of behavioral things. Let's not forget about Gran Turismo 7, where after all the review copies went out, they introduced the microtransactions, which literally killed the game overnight. You know? Yep. I'm pretty sure PlayStation gave Jim Ryan the okay with the money to make a deal with Bungie, but I'm pretty sure they weren't liking the details of that, because Bungie just gets money from PlayStation and then they can still put their games everywhere else. And at the same time, they kind of like behind the scenes buried Last of Us 2 factions. Like, it was kind of a weird thing, because in general, I think Suicide Squad has something to do with this. Like, basically, they didn't want, the industry wants to keep doing these live service games, but we as the gamers don't want live service games.
Jesus, is that true?
And
that's so true. Like, and I don't, but again, I think part of the issue, so I'll let you finish, then I'll complain.
Well, yeah, because so Suicide Squad, this was one of your games, right? One of the big ones for you.
Yep.
It came, or they threw it all out there. They had everything ready to go. Everybody was a Fortnite shooter. And next thing you know, they pulled it back, right? I think at the same time, or a few weeks later, Last of Us Factions was like basically put on the shelf. Like, it's still gonna come at some point, but it was put on the shelf. And also Bungie had something to do with it when it comes to like just looking at the game. They were basically like, you know, this isn't gonna work, basically. And it's like, Bungie, a company that you don't own, is somehow ranking higher than Naughty Dog in a way, because it's like, how did that happen, right? And they convinced them to like postpone this because of the microtransactions. And PlayStation beforehand was known for their, you know, over the shoulder walking simulator, is what everybody call it, but their over the shoulder action adventure story driven games where they put a lot of money into it, right? If we remember this generation, Jim Ryan was like, we're gonna have 10 live service games. You know what I'm saying? They kind of just went there. And maybe it wasn't going so well for them because some of the bigger name ones like Factions would have been one of them, is like literally put on the shelf. And then out of nowhere, they got to figure out how to come out with a Call of Duty replacement, even if they still get a 10-year deal, and maybe they just couldn't really do it. But they got to figure it out. And I don't know, maybe Jim Ryan just couldn't do it. He just couldn't do it. I don't know. I would be honest though, like it looked like he's quitting. If he wasn't being fired, it does look like he's like not taking, like he's not going to take the responsibility of, basically he's not going to create a Call of Duty replacement. He's not going to try to fix the PlayStation name from this hack, right? And he gave up on trying to stop the Activision deal, I guess. Basically, the writing was on the wall on that. And so like it don't look like a real retirement though. It looked like either he quit or PlayStation was not liking his decisions and they fired him. That's how it looks to me. It just, I can't see this as like they said he was there for a really, really long time. I think I see somebody say it was like 30 years. But I mean, I don't know. It don't look good, right? The timing of some of this other stuff, it just don't look good. It don't add up.
So what I was gonna say about the whole like live service games is like, I think it's this issue of, and I'm not saying a gamer needs to be in charge of the company.
Yeah.
But it can't be someone that far removed.
Yeah.
Game, right? Like you're saying that they can't even hold the controller correctly or something like that, right? It can't be someone that far removed because then they don't. It's like they're not paying attention to a target audience. They don't understand. They don't see the complaints. They don't know what gamers want. All they're seeing is the business aspect. And again, it's the issue where all these CEOs go, well, Fortnite makes money. Let's do that. Right? It's like, it's this issue. It's the same like Warner Bros. Tying that into there, where their issue was like, well, Marvel, like Disney makes that much money, so DC do the same thing without giving them a chance to like actually build something. They're like, no, hurry up, make us the money that Disney's making. Right. And the issue ties into another one of my topics too, with the Capcom president saying the prices of games are too low. Just randomly, like, so he makes almost $300,000 a year, and he was over here saying that like as the CEO, he's just like, we can't really like, pay everybody what they deserve, and all prices need to go up because Capcom was one of the last companies that was still kind of doing $60. Right. And I think this is their way of saying they're going to do $70. But he's over here like, it's just prices need to go up because the cost of making stuff is higher. And it's just like, you guys are still making record profits and things like that. It's this idea that it's like, you go up in price because all you're saying is we need to pay more. But then you release pretty much something kind of as boring as Exoprimal. Right. You're not listening to what the fan base wants. Games release broken. Everything needs a day one patch and a week one patch. And you can still complain about this and that. Everything has to have massive amounts of DLC. Yeah. Full price games have a battle pass and everything in there. And it's just like games like Diablo, where it's the point of the game is the loot is making you pay for loot. Or Spider-Man, where for the first two games, here's all of these costumes. And the third one, well, now there's some paywall in front of some of the costumes because we know you like the costumes. And it's like all of these like greedy dudes who they're not gamers. They don't understand what these gamers want. They're like, it doesn't even feel like they have a kid who's a gamer. It's just, they're just like, how do we make more money? Oh, they like the costumes? Well, then make them buy the costumes. Why aren't you doing that? And it's like, that's what's ruining a lot of these companies. And it's like price go up because
Yeah.
every price needs to just go up. Like I need to keep making my money. You want more money? I'm not going to take a pay cut, even though I don't do anything to make this much money. And it's silly.
Yeah, let's come back to Capcom. There's some more stuff I'm gonna talk about on Capcom, but there was one other thing that I wanted to mention for Jim Ryan, and we could probably let that go. You remember the PS5's price increased everywhere except the US, and
Yep.
their explanation was something like inflation, but it increased everywhere but like one location, right? So it's like that also looked like a bad behavior type thing. It's
Yep.
like you can't really. There's like I guess in the business world they call that ethics basically. Like it looks like bad ethics in a way because it's like it didn't make sense. It makes it look like you didn't care that much about what all the other countries think too. In a way, it's kind of bad when you think of it. It's almost the R word in a way, right? It's like
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah. So I guess on paper he was there forever, 20 plus to 30 plus years, and he's abruptly leaving. He was in his position only a few years, so I think it was like 3 or 4, like or it might have been more. Maybe somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, but it wasn't no 20, 30 years because we had Sean Layden before and the dude who summoned him overseas, right? But yeah, so he's going, and there was some friends of mine who thought behind the scenes I was going to make it a fanboy kind of thing with Xbox. I'm not even really going there with it because I think it was more internally with PlayStation decisions. I don't think it was all the way because of the Activision deal or anything to do with Starfield or Game Pass growing or anything. I think the tier system has something to do with Game Pass though. But if we're going to be fair, we got to rewind 6 months and remember Xbox cut old girl, Bobby, I forgot her last name, but the head of Halo Infinite, if you remember, they said she had a family emergency and that's why she had to step down. And they took her job and split it into 3 people. And it's a coincidence, right? It's just a coincidence. But it's like, I read the writing on the wall then. And I'm kind of reading it here too. I feel like it's the same thing. I don't think that was a family emergency. And I don't feel like this person is retiring early. But final thoughts on Jim Ryan, man. What do you think? Was it real? Is it a real retirement? We'll just wrap this part up.
Like I said, it was suggested retirement.
A suggested retirement. The PlayStation being hacked, I think, is still a developing story. It kind of got overshadowed a little bit with Jim Ryan retiring afterwards, but we'll probably, I think, we will report on the hack situation as it develops. I don't know. For anybody out there, definitely just remove your credit. If you have your credit card directly under your PlayStation link, please remove it. And then maybe, depending on how you feel about it, you can replace your card. That doesn't take that long anymore to do. If you really have like more than one bank, go with the other card for a while they give you the new card, or if they do it instantly, whatever. I think one final thing I think we'll mention, then we'll get past PlayStation, because I think this probably might be important. I'll ask you the question, then I'll answer it too. Now that he is gone, what changes do you think they need to make in order to get back in the good graces overall? Like with the way it was in the PS4 era. Like some people might think like, oh, it's not that bad, but I think we can all agree it's not as good as the height of the PS4, especially like 2018 when stuff was just coming out, right? So it's like what do you think they could do to stop getting bad news basically at the very least?
Undo the PS Plus price increase.
Okay.
Announced they're working on a new Killzone. Like I feel like they don't have to do crazy amounts of stuff. Like a lot of stuff is already set in stone. Like
Yeah.
there's no fixing. Like you can't just psych. No, we're not putting things on PC anymore. Like you're not gonna do that. They gotta fix the hack situation. Like regardless, that's
Yeah.
not gonna put them back in good graces. I think the good grace thing would just be either lower the price or put better stuff on there, right? Like if
Mm-hmm.
they announce something like one, like I guess new release a year, the
Mm-hmm.
person gets to pick like what they want and they just have it on PlayStation, but you get one
Right.
like per year. Like they can still give out their crappy games, but they're like one game per year. Like you can look to see everything that's coming out, and then like you get just one of them for free, or like through PlayStation Plus, something like that. Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be crazy. I would definitely do it. But then also, like I guess to show they're not so scared about Call of Duty, hey, we're bringing back Killzone, like something. I don't know. I feel like that's all.
Killzone or Resistance or something.
Yeah.
I think the price increase is something PlayStation still is going to do, but I think what they probably should do is just make it only $10 more each tier. Because I think
Yeah.
it looked like it was exponentially growing. It was like once you get to tier 2, it went up by like more than $10. It was like 20ish or something.
Yep.
Like the final tier was like 30, and it's like that makes it to where nobody wants to get the third tier.
Uh-huh.
But $10 increase would have made more sense. I think more people would have been more susceptible about it.
I still would have complained, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Was it Jim Ryan's decision to make games $70? Because the industry took that by storm. I think it
I don't know
was
whose decision it was.
because it was a PlayStation exclusive thing at first, and then next thing you know, all the money hungry people started to like jump on that, like all the sports games, and they was doing their crossover bundles, which was like crazy more as well. I blame that on him, but I think that was more of a like he hurt the industry for the gamer's sake.
It was Take Two's 2K21 NBA.
Okay.
NBA 2K21 was the first one to be priced at 70, and then Sony and Activision also decided to charge $70 for their big new release start of the current console.
I think there was the first ones to come out with the $70 price tag, but I think PlayStation announced it first that they wanted to do $70. I think maybe what you said was right.
It says in August 2020, Take Two's NBA 2K21 was announced as the first current gen game priced at $70.
Okay.
Sony and Activision also decided to charge $70 for their big at the start of the current console cycle.
Okay.
Which would have been right after.
Okay. Well, so for PlayStation, I think they should definitely just make it a $10 increase for the PS Plus. For some of those games, like don't it really does look like they was getting the worst of the worst at one point. It's like get like some of the ones that's in the middle at the very least. If you're not gonna put the best out there, like for example, we're gonna get to it. Liza P is like a hot game that's like kind of in the middle. That was day and date on Game Pass, right? That could have been also or a PS Plus game or something, right? And it came out around this time, you know. Like something like that, like right in the middle games, like that could have been like they could have had more of those there. If they was gonna do the price this much, it definitely should have something there day and date, or at least like what you said, you get to pick at least one per year. I'm pretty sure you would have to buy into it at a certain level first, and then you would get it, or you might have to pay for the year first, and then you get it, maybe something like that. Like it'll be exclusive to if you buy the yearly option. Like I could understand that.
But I mean, at the same time, if they could even still pull that crap of not really crap, but like you could only access it current PlayStation Plus member.
Yeah.
So even if you pick it, like the free game you pick is tied to your account, and then if you cancel your subscription, you don't get the game no more.
Yeah. That might have bite them in the butt a little bit because it looked like they were starting to slow it down.
I was gonna say, do you think people would only like pay for the month to get their free game and cut it off after a month. So
Well, if they make it where you only get it if you buy the yearly option, then they wouldn't have to worry about that. Like I think it would make more sense if they put it like exclusive to if you buy the year option, because you would have still bought, like you still would have paid double and had it for the year.
yeah,
You know. I don't know if Destruction All Stars counted as one of the games that they was gonna make a live service, but that one died very fast.
Yep.
I think because Factions has a certain name value to it, and it was already advertised. They showed trailers and stuff. I think that one should still come out, even if they're going to put microtransactions with it. I don't think. I think every other one, whatever these 10 games were, anything unannounced, like just don't do it. Like or just come out with the game and make it a regular game, and remove the live service part from it. I think PlayStation. Like when we were go back to when PlayStation and Xbox was on that E3 stage and they took a stance in saying your game is your game and you can trade amongst each other and all that other stuff.
Yep.
PlayStation could quite literally like win back the audience on a huge level like that if they come out and say we're taking a stance against live service games. Like I think they would probably do it overnight. Like everybody would flock to them if they say, you know what, we're going to be coming out with quality games, top quality games, and you can play them over and over again, but we're not going to nickel and dime you. If they say that type of stuff, because they won the generation instantly. It didn't even matter what was coming out the next 6-7 years. They won it instantly when they said you could trade your games back and forth. And this is kind of the next step in that type of like situation. I think they should just pretty much come out and say we're not doing any more live service games. That's what I think they should do. That will win a lot of people. I think their PlayStation games should be day and date with PC if you're going to do it. I think the biggest thing about Jim Ryan having the lying Jim Ryan name was because he was backhand doing it. You should just be honest with your audience. If that means more people will probably go and just get a PC for both systems, that's fine. But be honest about it, you know, because I'm somebody, for me, I plan on playing multiplayer games going forward on PC. I don't even want to do it on the system no more. And it was because of how they handled the stuff. Like, of course, I could pay. I'll have the money. I'm pretty sure a lot of people will have the money. It's just the principle behind it. It makes me say, well, I might as well just buy the DLCs and stuff off Steam. Why give it to you? I'll give it to Valve. Because Valve actually, at least, you use your internet. Whatever you pay for your internet is what you pay, basically. And then at the same time, Epic is just handing out games left and right. No subscription required. I talk about this all the time. I'm about to say it in a minute. No credit card required. Here's a game, and you use your own internet. You know, like you use your own internet, whatever you got. You don't have to pay anything extra just to play multiplayer games. Yeah. So, yeah, just do day and date. Be honest with your fan base so that they don't feel like you're lying to them. And get rid of the live service and just go back to just doing the regular, AAA games, I guess. I think PlayStation actually should put out more AA games and single A games, I guess, as well, with the PlayStation name on it, to get more stuff out frequently. It doesn't have to be, walking simulator is what everybody call it. Like, it doesn't have to all be like that. It could be what some of these indie games are, but just with their brand on it. Like, I would like to see more of that. So because if the industry is really hurting in the money area or something, because we're going to talk about that in a second, where they need to make more money and stuff. It's like, well, you could put out lower quality games some of the time, because like for this year, like the gap to Spider-Man 2 is kind of wide, like you could have put out like another game there where it was your game and it could have been like on the level of an indie game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but yeah, day and date PC games. As far as the tier system, I don't know if you would ever reverse that. If anything, just $10 more instead of whatever it was on the pricing, but I don't know if they could split that back at this point. I think that should just stay. Extra isn't that bad. It's just there's no day and date there. That's the only issue. But just $10 more on each tier than what it used to be. That's what I would say. Do we have any idea who's gonna take this dude's spot? Do we know
They
any?
said his name.
What was that guy's name? I think I heard it was somebody from overseas, right?
Yeah. Hold on. Hold on. Hiroki Toki.
All right, shout out to him. Hopefully he makes it better.
So
by God,
Sony,
if he makes it worse.
He's COO, Chief Operating Officer Hiroki Toki, assuming the role of interim division CEO until a successor is found.
Okay, well, technically, so Jim Ryan isn't out overnight. He's gotten to like mid-April or something like that. March. Okay.
Yep.
Well, so with the PlayStation being hacked to an extent, he's gonna have to do something. He's gonna have to say or do something because it's still technically under his watch. There's no way you can sit there and ignore that for 3 months, or the rest of this year, and then 3 months of next year. So, yeah, I'm gonna try to follow him a little bit because you better actually be retired. If I find out you got a tech job after this, I'm going in on you again. So yeah, you better actually be retired, and we could probably move on. Yeah, we are an hour and 6 minutes. All right, let me do the break part, and then we'll go back to some of this other stuff. So we got some bad news on this podcast. It's kind of crazy. I don't, depending on how you look at it, the Jim Ryan thing might be good news to you. I don't know how you might look at it. To me, it's kind of good news and bad news at the same time, because everything, like explaining everything, sounds bad. But I think they'll, like PlayStation, I think will like turn things around when it comes to bad press. I don't think they'll get consistent bad press. Consistent bad press was all about Jim Ryan. After that, I think they're going to be a little bit better. But let me go to this this middle part. So typically, I talk about Epic Games giving you free games, right? Every week, at least 2 games a week sometimes. But this time, so we got a really good highlight here. This is actually very good because it's not just Epic, it's also Steam. And all you still have to just have a profile. You don't have to put any credit cards on the profile. Yeah, if you don't want to be hacked, I guess you don't have to do that. You can just collect all the free games, and then you can, pull up your account and play everything on either your PC or on one of the handheld systems, the Rogue Ally or the Steam Deck. I still recommend the Rogue Ally over it, just because of like the Epic app. But we got us a treat, man. There's a lot that was given away here, and I'm really happy about one of them, because it was actually a game that I featured on the channel in one of my like videos that I did, where it was like here's 20 games, or here's like my top 5 games of whatever show. Like I did one of these games in one of those shows, and they gave it away for free. I've already claimed it. I was really happy about it. But I'll start off with Epic, and then we'll go to Steam. So with Epic Games, from now, as of this recording, until October 5th, one of the games that you get is called Model Builder. I didn't look too much into it, but one of them is called Model Builder. Now the other one was the big one for me. This one is called Solstice. This was the one that I featured before, and the game is actually brand new. It came out 2 days ago, and so Epic bought the bill, I guess, to make it free for everybody. Solstice is a M-rated game. It's rated M for blood and gore, violence, and nudity. Yes. So I believe I just wanted to read one thing about it. It's an action RPG game, and the description for it basically says explore the dark world brimming with hidden mysteries, master a diverse combat system, and inhabit the dual force of two sisters in a coming of age dark fantasy story with fast-paced action, vicious enemies, and spectacular boss fights. Anybody can look it up, but I would say it looks like they did something like Final Fantasy 16. If anybody was looking at Final Fantasy 16, it was a lot of boss fights and a lot of hack and slash. Your character, one of the girls, they're going to have a big sword on their back, similar to Cloud from Final Fantasy 7. Really big fat sword. And they're going to be just hacking and slashing all over the place and fighting a bunch of bosses and stuff. This is an indie game. And it's not really Souls-like because it doesn't really like move like a Souls mechanic game, but you do just fight really big bosses, and you're just sitting there with your sword and everything, and it just looks cool. It looks really cool. It was a game that I was following for a while. I let the whole summer go by and I forgot about it, and then all of a sudden I saw it. I was like, "Wait a minute, is that what I think it is?" And it was like, now it's finally out. It released 2 days ago. And it was a game you can basically have for free. I think it normally retails for $39.99, and they do have like a digital deluxe version where it comes with a soundtrack and like an art book, a digital art book as well, if you wanted to do that. But yeah, and I think it's a $10 upgrade to get that stuff if you just claim the base game here. But yeah, this is definitely going to go on the Rogue Ally, like probably immediately for me. I wish I could put it on my regular PC and get footage, but I was looking at the recommended specs and I was like, yeah, that might strain a couple things. So I'm going to just play it on the Rogue Ally. But that's definitely going to be in my rotation. It's going to be in my rotation. Very cool game. So they put out a really good one today, man. I'm selling that game hard. I'm like, yo, hop on this game. You got until October 5th. And I will be having more videos with those type of like the trailers and stuff, showing y'all some stuff that people overlook, because when we focus on like PlayStation and Xbox and maybe even console war kind of stuff, you really overlook a lot of these little games. Like, these games are really cool and they just pump them out so frequently. Maybe they should slow it down a little bit and promote it a little bit more. But some of them, they just pretty much come out to die because nobody really
have a promotion budget.
Yeah, they don't have no budget, unfortunately. But yeah, one of the ones that I have been following is here, so I just want to show that. And the funny one is the one for next week. So from October 5th to October 12th, one of the games that they're going to give away is called Godlike Burger.
Okay.
I think we all will want a godlike burger every now and then. I kind of want one. But yes, a godlike burger. So that's the other one. And so that's it for Epic Games. And it looks like we're going to be getting a lot of stuff this month or this week. Because we're going to jump from that to Steam. Steam has some games that you can get for free. One of them is called Lonely Knight, as in like knight in shiny armor. So Lonely Knight, and that looks like, I'm gonna be honest, a very cheap Souls-like game. It does. It almost looks like a knockoff of Lords of the Fallen in a little bit. Okay. But it is free and you can play it. Souls-like, if you're into Souls-like. And then the next one is called Storm Edge Wind of Change. That's actually a demo in a way for a game that's called Storm Edge, just Storm Edge. But if you type in Storm Edge Wind of Change, it's the demo, and it covers the full first chapter of the game. And you can check out the game and take a look at their trailers and stuff. Steam usually lays it out really nice. And, see if you like that game and you can get that demo. So that's a demo. And then one more game that I think is probably going to be the coolest from the Steam category here. This is called Meta Ball. So META ball, all one word. And when you look at it, the first thing you're going to think of is Rocket League. And so it's kind of like that, but it's basketball basically. And you're on like a hoverboard or a hoverball kind of thing. It's Rocket League, and it's kind of chaotic in a way, but just picture Rocket League, and instead of soccer is basketball basically. And so it's free to play. And you can go and basically claim that on your Steam account, basically. Right, cool little game. So there's a bunch of stuff here. So we got a lot of stuff here. Overall, what are we talking about? Like 6 games? 6 games here, basically. Yeah. 6 games. You can't beat that. That's 6 games for free. You can't beat that. And one of them, I think, is a really big game that's AA quality, basically. So yeah, a lot of stuff here. And yeah. So that's it for that segment. But we got to transition a little bit because now it gets bad again. Is it bad? We having a lot of bad news here, but
our fault.
it's a lot of. It's unfortunate, but speaking of people getting fired or laid off, this is confirmed. A firing or laying people off is not necessarily like what Jim Ryan was, where it's kind of like, is he really fired, or is he really retired? But no. Epic Games, unfortunately, has laid off a lot of people. Hundreds of people was laid off from Epic Games. This happened this week. And it's kind of crazy because they still have the ability to front over the money to keep giving out these free games every month, or like every week, actually. Each month you're looking at 6 to 8 games usually, right? So they're still paying the bill for that. They paid for a full release of Solstice. Like, I don't know, but they basically laid off hundreds of people from them, developers basically. And we don't really have a reason why, but there was some developers. There was one developer that like made a video where she was complaining that like basically the people higher up, they're still getting paid, they're still getting their big money, and they're still cutting themselves the big checks, and like the actual developers, I mean, they're almost in recession mode almost, right? And so it's unfortunate, but like the main thing I'm just trying to figure out, because we keep asking this question every episode now, is like, what is going on with the industry? Like, the industry is just crazy right now because like this might go back into Capcom, and I'll talk about Capcom again in a second, but they're demanding more money from you, right? And like there's also the microtransactions as well. And then at the same time, but you can't afford to keep your people. What's going on with that? I don't understand that. I really don't understand that. And it's like at the same time, the product doesn't even get a chance to really shine sometimes. The footage went off the screen a long time ago, but we're about to delist the game actually today of this recording. When you guys get to hear this, it will be delisted, but it was Marvel Avengers, right? Marvel Avengers only had a year. like it had like maybe a year and some change, right? But it's like within the generation, we did not get to the second half of the generation. We didn't get to no mid-gen refresh, nothing. We've seen like some screenshots and stuff of like the Xbox's new system, but we're not quite there. Like some of the games quite literally have a shelf life of less than 2 years. right? And it's like, well, you would think of it like, well, did you just waste time? Like, you kind of wasted your own time. Like, you have a game, you put it out, you get rid of it, and fire all the people. So it's like you just did a bunch of nothing. It's a nothing burger.
Yeah. Yep.
Because you didn't get your money, and then you got rid of the people you hired, and then now you're delisting games. That's what the industry is doing. It's not really what Epic is doing. Epic is still going strong with like literally one of the top 5 games, period, which is Fortnite. Right? And so, and these guys was developing all those skins for like literally every character ever to be in that shooter. And then all of a sudden they can't afford them no more or whatever it is. I don't know. Fortnite ain't hurting. I haven't heard anything about Fortnite's revenue dropping at all. I haven't heard anything.
Like, save some money for the upgrades. That was really it. It was to save some money for the CEO people.
Yeah, so...
It's like, if you think about it, it's not like they had to let go of people to keep giving us games. It's like, these games cost about, like, what? Like, at most, like, 40 a piece. So, $120. Like, it's not like they had to let somebody go to afford that $120 to give us a few games. Like, this is literally just like, let's make sure this guy can get his, like, yearly bonus. So, we'll drop these people.
Yeah. So it's bad news. I don't know what's going on over there. But let's tie it back to your other topic. So yeah, Capcom still wants to increase the price of games. It's kind of weird to say that because they put their Resident Evil games on sale a lot. I just bought 4. I don't understand why they...
The issue is it's not for Resident Evil, it's because the rest of their stuff ain't great.
Yeah.
They're like
the conclusion that I don't understand is like, well, why would I want to pay more for it then?
Yeah, so like Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, and
Devil May Cry.
All good. They haven't really been doing anything. Devil May Cry is about to get an anime. Talk about that in a second. Yeah. But they're not really doing anything with that. But then it's just like, yeah, we should raise it to 72 because like, everything's going up in price, and it's too low compared to the cost of development. But it's like, it wasn't too low for the past like 20, 30 years. Like, why is it all of a sudden too low for the cost of development? And are you making money or no? Like, that's what I'm not understanding. It's like, I haven't heard anything about Capcom going under, so they need to increase the price. It just seems like everybody's making a good amount of money, and then they go, you know what? We could make more. And then that's what they're going with. And then it's just like, yeah, we have to do this for business jargon. Where it really is just like, we were fine, but we want more. And they're just trying to bleed people dry until everybody gets pissed, and then they apologize and backtrack a little. Right? But if you keep increasing little bits here and there so that people don't really notice it, like if we really, really think about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Video games were $40.
Yeah.
They were 40, then they went to 50, and then they went to 60, and then when it hit to 70 is when people started complaining, like heavy. Therefore, they're like, if they want to, like they could try and go to 80. People go, no, we're not having it. They'll be like, our bad, we're gonna stay at 70. Right? They realize where their limit is now. Where if we had this much attitude 10 years ago, we would have still been at 50 or 40. Right?
Yeah.
Like, but it's just, they slowly keep doing this, so it's just, this feels like the same thing.
I just find it to be silly because some of their best games, they still put sales out for them. Because they were advertising that Resident Evil 4 remake sale. Because that bad boy was like 40 across the board, no matter where you got it, like last week and the week before, I think. And it was just like, well, why do you put it on sale then? Like, I don't know, but it's pretty interesting. I don't know if they're hurting, but they're not really hurting, but As a quick side note, apparently at one point Xbox tried to buy Capcom. Capcom released a statement saying that they'd have no interest in being bought by anybody. They could stand alone. So clearly, you're not really hurting if you have no interest to be bought by anybody.
Part of the issue also is some of the consumers, man. Like, I'm looking at these comments, and somebody was like, "I'm all for them being fair to us and themselves, but $70 is too high for other games as is." Whereas this other person's like, "I will always love and play their games, even if they become more expensive." I get it. There's a market for it, so they're being unfair to themselves by not charging more. Like, what? Like, that logic of just like, well, there's a bunch of us that will play regardless, so why not take more of our money?
Right.
What type of logic is that? Like, it should just be, no, they are making enough as is. Stop being greedy. Like, stop being greedy. Stop trying to bring in all these business people who don't know how video games even work to begin with. And then asking, like, having to pay them so much, so then you got to up the price of everything else. It's stupid.
It was pretty interesting, too, because at the same time, they made so much that they're getting ready to license over Devil May Cry for the anime. They're gonna turn it into an anime. So,
which it does look good. Yeah, I think it looks good. But yeah, they're gonna license that over for an anime, which more than likely will tie into a new game eventually if it brings up enough hype, and that's gonna be $70.
Yeah. Interesting enough. I think this could be like a quick topic, and then we can move forward. Cyberpunk. We all like Cyberpunk, I guess. Remember Cyberpunk? It ain't that old. Well, Cyberpunk, I believe, came out in December of 2020, if I remember correctly. It's got a second or third wind. I think this might be its third wind, but I believe now, the very end of September 2023, or you could just say, you might as well just say October 2003, but basically excuse me, basically we can now officially say Cyberpunk is polished. It's now considered polished. You can now play this from start to finish and have very minimum bugs and stuff. So this is an interesting thing. I don't want the podcast to just be completely negative, but it kind of is at this point. But when we talk about all the other news and stuff, this is kind of a big deal in a way for gaming in general, because we could point out just from the consumer side, yes, you want us to pay more, and then yes, you even want us to pay microtransactions for certain things too. But one of the games that died, Marvel Avengers, was one where that came out at full price, which was $60. And then they wanted a bunch of microtransactions, but the game came out with its hiccups as well. It wasn't completely polished, but it wasn't as damaged as Cyberpunk. Yeah. But Cyberpunk being one of the most damaged games, it really took them almost 3 years to make this polished. That's kind of crazy when you think about just in general, on the consumer side, you want somebody to spend more than 70 almost, right? They do, because they have their base games and they have their DLC. Even Cyberpunk has DLC. So you want people spending almost $100 on a game, but the game's not polished until 2 to 3 years later. That's the thing that's really crazy.
And it has to release early because of random investors who, again, don't know video games, but they're releasing now, I want my money.
Yeah, and they end up hurting.
They're treating the gamer like they're stupid. And it's it's crazy that a lot of gamers don't see it.
Yeah, because on the back end, so you don't get your investment. So now we got to delist a couple games, and then we got to fire the people who worked on it. And it's because of the initial investor. And it's like, what is happening here?
The initial investor who will remain rich. He will remain rich.
Yeah, like he didn't
Any
really
loss
lose that
he
much.
has, yeah, any loss he has, he's not even going to really notice it. But by
Yeah.
all means, fire everybody else.
So crazy time with it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
just want to see the industry go better. Yeah.
same. So, two things that apparently did get better then. So we can have some positive stuff.
All
The
right.
Lies of P's current patch made the game a little easier.
Is that
Uh,
better though? Is that
well,
better?
for some people they are saying it is. So the things that it's easier is a couple of the bosses are have a little bit less health,
Okay.
and you have a better chance at staggering bosses. So they say in their words, they fixed all the ones that were fair. Like it's not that it's just like an easy game to get through. It's just they felt like a few of them were unfair. So they went back and fixed it. But of course, there's going to be some people who already beat the game who's going to be like their elite level, like beat it before it got easy. Which, in all fairness, they did. But
That's a game that I want to
yeah,
get to, especially since it was like day one on Game Pass and stuff. I just wanted to get through some of the backlogs first. But what I was
well,
looking at, it didn't look like it was too hard. I was kind of confused by that when I saw it because
it's
I
more
remember.
just proper dodging and stuff. Still, I think it's because you're used to these like Souls like games now that it's like, oh, it's not like crazy difficult. But for
Yeah,
those who aren't used to it, it's still you get hit like once and a half times and you're dead. Like so,
I
uh,
wish they didn't cave that much because I don't think Elden Ring did. And Elden
it did
Ring
a
is
little
still
bit.
the
It nerfed a few bosses who was considered too not like Melania, but like there were a few bosses that they had to like fix because
yeah.
apparently they were a little too difficult, unintentionally. Like it wasn't the intentional difficulty that they had
Hmm.
set. It was some other issues. So I think that's really what Liza P was doing here. It's like, oh, like this one's too much of a bullet. We got to lower the health a little
You
bit.
know, it's
Like
funny
like
though.
that.
Like, what was that one game?
Outriders.
No, Dynasty is Dynasty's Wolong Fallen
Oh,
Dynasty.
Wulong Dynasty.
I
Yeah,
think it was that one. Like, you could play that co-op. Everybody was in there just jumping the boss. That game
yeah.
was just goofy.
But
They were just jumping them though. Yeah.
another thing that they did change. They did say it was like I think it was like they increased a little bit of the
Okay.
carrying capacity. So somebody was just happy because they could now carry two weapons, and it's like it seemed like it was like if you want a good defense, you can carry one weapon. If you want to carry two weapons, then your defense is going to be hit. Was like kind of the way it was. Like pick
Okay.
and choose. If people feel like now they can carry two weapons and have decent defense now. So that was like one of the main things. But it doesn't sound like it's like super. It's just decrease the HP of certain field monsters. Decrease the chance of breaking like a monster's stance. Uh, Decrease the HP of all three types of dimensional butterflies. I don't know what that means, but they
Okay.
also increased a few drop rates of stuff as well.
Okay.
And then specific bosses, they decreased some of the HP. So some of them are easier, I guess.
Yeah.
It just depends on the person. But I do have some other good news.
Okay.
Ed Boon is teasing another Halloween character, or horror character coming to Mortal Kombat. So he posted a black and white image that showed Leatherface, Freddy Krueger, Pinhead, Michael Myers, Jason, Ghostface, Jigsaw, and Chucky. And above Jason, Michael Myers, and above Jason, Leatherface, and Freddy Krueger, there's a check mark, and then for the other five, there's question marks. So he's hinting that at least one of them might be coming to MK1.
That's interesting.
It'll probably be in my head. Ghostface would probably be the one that makes the most sense.
Okay.
I feel like Leatherface. Or
Might
not
be a
Leatherface.
few of them
Michael
though, because the
Myers.
last one, like Mortal Kombat 12, there was a lot of just random people though. So I would imagine if they were going with that theme, they might go with the full Dead by Daylight squad.
True.
Like,
But also I think what's interesting is I think this game has assist characters, right? So because they have assist characters, that does leave room creatively to be able to put the puppet for Jigsaw and so Billy the puppet, it was actually Jigsaw, but Billy the puppet or Chucky in
Mm-hmm.
there, where they would have been really awkward to kind of animate as actual fighting characters, but like as assist characters, like Chucky coming out and just like stabbing a person, or like uh an elaborate cutscene of Billy the puppet in like some sort of trap. Like it opens up the door, creates it creatively for them to appear, while they throw in probably Ghostface and I guess Mike Myers, but uh maybe Pinhead.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's there too.
Well, yeah, it's not all bad, but technically I got more bad news. It's not bad news, but it's an interesting thing. It's interesting because there's a super nerd podcast that I wanted to have come up at one point where it's involving a whole bunch of these Power Ranger Megazords. But I was waiting for the big one to release first, which was, by big one I mean the most expensive one, the one that was $450 or $440 or something like that, something crazy,
Anime
right?
looking one, right?
Yeah. So what I found out was that initially it was supposed to be released in August, right? And then when they said the pre-orders were sold out, when I said that a while back, they said the release date was September, right? And I sat there and was looking on YouTube trying to see if all the videos came out on it and seeing has anybody from any of those groups brag about getting one. And I wasn't seeing it. I'm like, well, okay, September's over, so what's going on? So I went to take a look, and apparently the due date was pushed back again. So now they're saying October. And so if you were somebody who paid that kind of money and you were looking for it, technically you were told, oh, it's going to be next month for 2 months in a row after paying like $450. So I don't know what's going on with it, but I'm still trying to like follow it, I guess, because we technically, time is up, quote unquote. It might not be up though. I don't know what's going on. The place that's selling it is still a reputable website for like collectors who like high-end toys, but they can't put this one out yet. I don't know what's happening. So yeah, I'm just trying to figure it out. So I don't know. I guess that's bad news. Good news for anybody who chose not to buy it yet or didn't get in on the pre-orders, because I chose not to because I thought it was kind of expensive. But somebody you and me both know said that he did. And maybe I have to check back with him and wonder, like, did he cancel or anything? Maybe we can ask him off air. But yeah, it's just pushed back a month. I wonder what people would think, like they still charged you, but then like October comes and it's like, okay, you go back to the website, now it says November, right? And then November comes, now it say December. Like, I don't know. Maybe it won't be that bad, but yeah, once it released, then I'll talk about like all of them. Very, very nerd stuff, like at the very end of the podcast. I wouldn't bore nobody if they just want to talk video games. Okay. But yeah, as of right now, it's pushed back again. So this is gonna happen like maybe next month sometime. Yeah, but other than that, I don't think there's anything else to cover. Hopefully the news gets better next week. Hopefully we don't have to report on more people losing jobs or anything. But at the very least, you did get a bunch of games here. I mentioned a bunch of stuff. All of that is free. If anybody was still wondering, I have not found the Steam Deck yet. I'm gonna be honest with you too. I have not tried to look for it either. But yeah, it's just gone right now. So I'll figure it out. One day I'll find it. It's just gone right now. But all this other stuff I mentioned, man, you can add that to a profile, and if you have one of these handhelds, you can just play them. And I'm going to definitely download the other one I was talking about. Any final thoughts before we go take on this Remnant 2 boss?
I need the CEOs to back down.
Yeah, I need a couple more of them to retire. I need whoever's over there on Epic, go ahead and retire. Well, I don't know. I should say that they giving out the free game. I don't know, man. I'm torn on that. I don't know what's going on, but just do better as a industry. Y'all didn't have this many problems in the PS4, Xbox One era. Like, do better, please. I don't know what's happening, but that just seems so odd to me. That you can't keep the game up and you can't even keep the people. I'm like, the sales, it can't be that much of a decrease. Then why would you put it on sale like that? Like, if it was gonna bankrupt you that much, why did you make the game $5 during Black Friday or something? Like, I don't know what happened. Maybe I don't know how it works, but I'm just saying, like, it shouldn't cost the people who work there. I don't know, but yeah, we'll be back at it next week. I will have some solo content coming out regularly. I actually I just created like a schedule specifically for that work and a lot of stuff, just to make sure I have it separated in a certain way. And I'm gonna come back with some more content. It's gonna be fun. But I literally made a schedule so that I could fit it in, and so I don't have all my time going towards everything else, because I still have a passion for gaming and stuff. So yeah, more content will be on the way, I promise you. That's all I got for you here. I hope you all are enjoying your weekend. We will catch you next week. Peace.